What's up, everyone? We got another NFL offseason recap video. Today, we're going to be looking at the Los Angeles Rams, how their season went last year, what they've done so far in free agency, and what they should be looking for in the draft. The Rams didn't repeat their Super Bowl season as they finished 9-7 in the regular season and 3-3 in their division. They regressed quite a bit, and I think one of the main things they regressed in is how their offensive line was. Losing Rodgers, Saffold in free agency was kind of expected, but John Sullivan, their center who retired, kind of messed things up for the consistency of how the offensive line played. Many people still thought the Rams would have a solid line behind Whitworth, Austin Blythe, and Rob Havenstein, but Blythe and Havenstein regressed a lot, and their new starters just weren't able to be up to par, which meant Jared Goff was constantly under pressure. Todd Gurley also struggled with arthritis in his knees, which meant he wasn't getting enough touches and he wasn't able to use that workhorse role he had the previous season. And the receiving core was okay. Brandon Cooks missed time due to injury, but Cooper Kupp had a great comeback season from his ACL injury, and Robert Woods stayed consistent. And the emergence of Tyler Higbee down the stretch was pretty impressive for a guy that never really had time to shine in that offense. As a result, the Rams finished with the 17th best offensive DVOA. On the defensive side of the ball, the Rams lost one of their key starters, Dinam Suh, to free agency, but otherwise they had kept pretty much the same roster, improving it actually by adding veterans like Eric Weddle. But during the middle of the season, they traded away their two starting corners in Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib. Talib, which was a salary cap dump, was okay, but trading Peters, who had an All-Pro and Pro Bowl season with the Ravens, was just considered a loss for the Rams by the time the season was over. They did make a huge trade for Jalen Ramsey, but I don't see the value. They could have just kept Marcus Peters. Obviously, he wasn't a right fit for the defense, but they gave up a lot, and I mean a lot to get Ramsey. More first-round picks that they had to give up. And while he's still in his prime, they have literally no depth now, especially that they just have a team full of stars led by Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. They still finished with the ninth best defensive DVOA because they did have some talent on all levels of the ball, such as Corey Littleton and Aaron Donald. But the one thing you really have to know about the Rams is that they're a top-heavy team, as they've invested a lot of money into their top stars, such as Aaron Donald, Jared Goff, Andrew Whitworth, and last season, Todd Gurley. And when you have so much money invested at the top, you're not going to be able to pay those middle and bottom guys, which means your depth players are not going to be up to par, which is what we saw with the Rams. When Aqib Talib went down, the Rams' passing defense took a hit as well. And when you're looking at you paying around a running back $15 million when you can just replace him with a guy off the street or an undrafted free agent, it isn't worth the money. And I think Les Snead has learned that the hard way, paying Jared Goff, who might just be a product of McVay's system and a good offensive line, $36 million, but when he doesn't have that offensive line, he isn't the same quarterback anymore. So I think that is where, in one aspect, the Rams took a hit, and they're going to keep taking hits in future seasons as well. The only move that happened before free agency is Eric Weddle, who the Rams signed on a one-year deal, retired. So a great career for this longtime safety of the Chargers and Ravens. He's out of the NFL for now. Now the Rams were a little bit cash strapped, so they had to make a couple of moves to improve their team. But I don't think they improved their team that much, honestly. Signing Leonard Floyd to a $10 million contract, this guy has not lived up to his potential coming out of Georgia, especially with the Bears. So they tried to replace Dante Fowler with Floyd, and this is just going to be turn out to be a colossal mistake. Signing Ashawn Robinson from the Lions, solid move, but this is before they re-signed Michael Brockers to a 3-year, $24 million contract. And I like the Brockers signing because Brockers can play pretty much anywhere, inside, outside. He's not much of an edge rusher on the outside, but he's a really good run stuffer on the inside to complement Aaron Donald. Re-signing Andrew Whitworth to a 3-year, $30 million contract. Whitworth is 30 years old, so I don't see the value of signing this guy for 3 years. He's not offensive lineman playing till 41 is highly unheard of, and maybe he'll have like a Jason Peters type year, like season where he's just solid, right? And he was solid this past year, but he did regress a little bit from that Super Bowl run that they had. So I don't see the complete value in a 3-year signing with him. Now, the biggest move that the Rams made during free agency was cutting Todd Gurley, in my opinion. This is a guy, they paid $15 million to him after having his Offensive Player of the Year season 2 years ago. But this is the definition of do not pay a running back big money. He suffered from arthritis this past season and in their Super Bowl run, and he just wasn't the same player. And they paid a ton of money to a guy who who didn't even get over 1,000 yards, and he was the number one paid running back in the league. They did try to trade him, and they failed, which meant his time with the Rams was over. Long-time returner JoJo Natson went to the Browns. Outside edge rusher Dante Fowler went to the Falcons, and he had a career year in his contract year this past year. So glad to see he got some big money from the Falcons. Corey Littleton to the Raiders. This is, I think, their biggest loss. He was a great coverage guy, a great guy that's quick, can stop the run, but also cover big tight ends like Kittle and possibly even running backs. Slot corner Roby Coleman went to the Eagles, so that is a major position that they need to fill. The Rams need to fill, and Greg the Leg Zerline went to the Cowboys, which means the Rams need to address the kicker position either in the draft or bring in an undrafted free agent to secure that kicking spot, which is an important spot now in the NFL. With the Rams going all in these past couple of years, making trades and big signings, they don't have a first-round pick for the next couple of years, which means they're going to need to address these 4 spots in day 2 and day 3 selections, and they're going to have to find value in picks that other people won't see. In my opinion, their biggest need is offensive linemen, which their offensive line was terrible last year, ranking in the bottom 5 in the league. Andrew Whitworth is old. Austin Blythe took a step back. Rob Havenstein wasn't the same player, and their 2 other starters just weren't up to par. So they're going to need to address the interior of their line. I think is more important because I think Whitworth and Havenstein are the 2 best on their offensive line. So getting an interior lineman, maybe like someone like Ben Barch who can move from tackle to guard, or Nathan Moody from Fresno State could be solid players for them. Edge rusher to replace Dante Fowler, I don't think Leonard Floyd is the answer. And he's only on a 1-year deal, which means the Rams need to start planning for life after him in case he doesn't turn out to be the player they want him to be. Finding linebackers to replace Corey Littleton is important. They should look for a quick guy, a coverage guy that they can get in probably rounds 3 or 4. They shouldn't waste a round 2 pick on him. Finally, adding to a running back room consisting of Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown is important, as neither of them have held a workhorse role for the entirety of an NFL season. And they should make sure they have enough running backs on the roster in case one person gets hurt, so that they can have enough running backs to have a committee instead of one trying to take on a workhorse role by themselves and not being efficient while doing it. That is all for this NFL offseason recap video on the Los Angeles Rams. Don't forget to like, comment what you think the Rams record will be in 2020 and who you think they should take in the draft, and subscribe.